As I told you in the previous class that now we are going to start a new topic from the plant physiology. Okay, and in plant physiology, due to this that reduced syllabus, we have to read only this mainly photosynthesis and respiration. So this is the photosynthesis we are starting today. All right, we are starting today photosynthesis. All right, photosynthesis, as you know, I think you know about this because in the previous classes also, in class 9, class 10, and even before, you have learned something about the mm, photosynthesis, that plant can synthesize their own food, and so they are called autotrophs, no? So this is a photosynthesis, that is the synthesis of food in
Sir, can you tell
presence.
me the page?
Yes,
Page number? The page number.
what number?
The page number.
Page number. Page number of the book.
Yes, sir.
See, I have a old book. I don't know exactly the new one. Old one is. It is actually chapter 13. Chapter 13, and page number is 207. Page number is starting from page number 206. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So this is synthesis of food in presence of light. If we very short this photosynthesis we can describe, no? So that photo is light, is it? And synthesis means manufacture to produce or manufacture or form something which is complex substance from the simpler one. Okay, so this is the photosynthesis, and only as we know only the green plant, they synthesize this food, is it? Green plant, along with the green plant, there are some other organisms like they are called that cyanobacteria. This is also known as blue-green algae. Then some of the and some bacteria. Some bacteria, not all. Some bacteria they are green sulfur bacteria and purple bacteria. There is chemosynthetic and photosynthetic bacteria are there. So this is because that why this green plants, because they have one chemical substance which is called chlorophyll. No? This chlorophyll is the a pigment. This is green pigment. pigment which can absorb the light energy. Okay, so those cells containing chlorophyll will only carry out photosynthesis. Actually, what is the overall process? This is, here it is a physico-chemical process. Okay, physico-chemical process, and in which, say, green plants use light energy and synthesize organic food. Organic food, these foods that the plant synthesize, this is mainly carbohydrate. Okay, and initially what is synthesized, that is the glucose, fructose. These are the sugar, simple sugar. So they can synthesize. This is another way. The photosynthesis can be defined in several way. Okay, so one of the way that the process of photosynthesis is a physico-chemical process in which the green plant or the chlorophyll containing cells, they synthesize the organic food, mainly carbohydrate, from carbon dioxide and water in presence of light. So the plant for synthesis of food require light, they require carbon dioxide, they require water, and from here the organic compound carbohydrate or the sugar is produced. During this process, of course, oxygen is evolved. That's why this photosynthesis has two importance in two ways. Of course, many other importance is are there, but two important points benefit of photosynthesis is that this is making the synthesizing food, and this is the primary source of food. Source of food on earth, and this is for all organisms. For all the organism, because plant synthesize food for their use, and the other animal which cannot synthesize food, they take directly or indirectly their food from these plants. Okay, so on this earth, the primary source of food is the photosynthesis. And another thing that is that release of oxygen. Okay, by the process of photosynthesis, oxygen is produced, and this is the source that all other organisms get their oxygen for their respiration. Is it? We all, for our respiration, what do we need? We need oxygen, and this oxygen is coming from the process of photosynthesis. We always in respiration we consume oxygen and release carbon dioxide, is it? So oxygen is spent and carbon dioxide is produced gradually in the uh, atmosphere. The carbon dioxide concentration continuously it is increasing and oxygen concentration is decreasing. But what happened due to this process of photosynthesis? In photosynthesis the plant utilize carbon dioxide and they produce oxygen, and this is why that in the atmosphere the carbon dioxide and oxygen balance is maintained. Otherwise, if photosynthesis was not there, then this process, this balancing this carbon dioxide and oxygen was not possible. Other than these, there are other importance are there for the photosynthesis. See, all type of energy. No, we use for our energy coal. We use petroleum. No, firewood you use. All these things they are actually the result of photosynthesis. Is it? By coal, petroleum, etc., and the fuel gas that is produced, this is from the plant only, from their decomposition. No? In the earth crust, we find these things, so we use the coal, petroleum for energy source, for the firewoods, etc. And then we everything, almost everything, different types of medicine, those chemicals we are getting from the plant. We are getting different types of fibers from the plant. All everything that is coming, these are result of the photosynthesis. So importance of photosynthesis is innumerable, indefinite. So a lot of things are there. Without photosynthesis, we cannot imagine life on Earth. Okay, so this is here that in photosynthesis, oxygen is evolved. But what happened that there are some organisms, okay, they do not release oxygen. Some bacteria like this sulfur bacteria and purple bacteria. These are, of course, prokaryote. Remember, they are bacteria is prokaryote. Actually, in their photosynthesis, these bacteria in their photosynthesis, they do not release oxygen because they do not use water for photosynthesis. Okay, water for photosynthesis. Actually, water is source of hydrogen that is required for photosynthesis. For the synthesis of the carbohydrate, no? For synthesis of carbohydrate, the hydrogen is also required. Carbon and oxygen come from the carbon dioxide, and hydrogen that is required that usually come from water. But this bacteria, this photosynthetic bacteria, they do not use water as a source of their hydrogen. They use some other compound like hydrogen sulfide. Okay, and as they use hydrogen sulfide for their need of hydrogen for photosynthesis, so they cannot release oxygen and they will release sulfur. Okay, they will release sulfur in the atmosphere, in the environment, and that's why they are also known as sulfur bacteria. This is so photosynthesis is two type actually. One is oxygenic photosynthesis, in which oxygen is produced, and another one is anoxygenic. Anoxygenic photosynthesis. So in anoxygenic photosynthesis is carried out by this bacteria. Okay, purple and green sulfur bacteria. Where purple and green sulfur bacteria, they carry out anoxygenic photosynthesis, and rest of the autotrophic organism, all the green plant, then algae, the cyanobacteria, they use water, and so they also release oxygen in the atmosphere. That's why it has been later on experimentally also proved that the oxygen that is evolved in photosynthesis comes from water and not from carbon dioxide. So that is the oxygen that is evolved in photosynthesis comes from water. Those organisms use water, they only in their photosynthesis oxygen is produced, and those organisms do not use water for photosynthesis. They cannot release oxygen during the process of photosynthesis. Okay, related to this photosynthesis, there are several experiments were carried out. I think one of the important, if we go to the history of this a little bit, that history of photosynthesis, then some of the important point in these, one of the that scientist was the Priestley. Okay, Priestley was known for the discovery of oxygen. He carried out one experiment, right? He carried out one experiment. You can see the diagram. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You can say, see this, this is the Twistless Experiment. All right. This is a very simple experiment that he carried out, taking Belger, candle, mice, and green plant. So initially, one of these was that when the candle was burnt under this bell jar, after some time candle could not burn, and it was off. The candle was off, and also this is here you can see that the mouse, okay, it could not breathe, it suffocated to death. But if the same experiment was carried out with the if the same experiment was carried out along with a green plant inside the bell jar, then all the mice was alive, the candle was burning continuously, and the plant also was fresh for long time. So that what was his conclusion, that Priestley concluded that the by burning of candle and by breathing of the animal, the air is air quality is uh, damaged. Okay, we can say, or it is air become, it is the foul air, and these things, the green plant can restore the quality of air which was fouled by the breathing animal and the burning candle. That is, by burning and breathing, uh, some of the component of the air is lost, is decreased, but these things can be made up or restored. The normal condition can be brought by the green plant. So green plant perhaps carry out some of the process which can restore the air quality. Next was, this was up to Priestley's conclusion was up to that. Next was one Ingenhouse. Ingenhouse. Okay, this Ingenhouse carried out the same experiment. That is the Priestley's experiment. But what he did, he kept one set of experiment in the dark and one set of experiment in light. So same experiment carried out, but in two different conditions, in light and dark. And what he found, that for restoring the air quality, that presence of light is must. Presence of light is required. That is, the plant cannot restore the air quality in the dark condition. When light is there, then only it. So he told for the plant process, for the plant process, light is essential. Ingenhouse then did another experiment in water. This experiment he did in water. What he did, he took aquatic plant, okay? He took aquatic plant in a beaker of water, and that was kept under the sun. And what he found, that those places, those areas of the plant which was green, from the green part of the plant, that is where there was a leaf, from the green part of the plant, some bubbles started coming out in presence of sunlight. Okay, and later on, so these are bubbles. So these bubbles, later on, it was tested and it was found that oxygen, that air bubble was nothing but oxygen. So from here it was proved that the plant can carry out certain process, and for that process light is required, and during this process oxygen is evolved. Okay, so in this process, by that time of course it was not known as photosynthesis, but it was proved that the plants carry out certain life process in which light is required, and that the oxygen is evolved in that. Another experiment was carried out by Engelmann, T.W. Okay, T.W. Engelmann, he carried out one very important process, important experiment. And in this experiment, what he did, that in a beaker or in container, he took suspension of bacteria, photosynthetic bacteria. Okay, he took here that suspension of aerobic bacteria, and this was the this aerobic bacteria means Aerobic bacteria means these bacteria require oxygen for their respiration. See, in the bacteria, we can categorize them at least into two groups, that aerobic and anaerobic bacteria. Aerobic bacteria require oxygen for the respiration, and anaerobic bacteria, they do not require oxygen for their respiration. Okay, and in this water that he took aquatic plant, and that aquatic plant was one of the algae, filamentous algae. That algae is cladophora. Cladophora is filamentous branched green algae. Okay, so it can carry out photosynthesis. They are autotrophs. And then he also took one prism, and through the prism the light was passed. Then what happened when the light passed through the prism? Light is split, so we get a spectrum, is it? So a spectrum of light was given. Means this aquatic plant was not given the normal white light. Say it is covered from all sides, so that normal light cannot fall on it, and whatever the light was given, that light was passing through the prism, so the spectrum of light was falling on the aquatic plant. And after that, what was found, that maximum bacteria were gathering in places where there was red light and blue light. That is, in the red and blue region, maximum bacteria accumulation was there. It means what? Why the bacteria accumulated in the red and green blue region? This is because that in the red and blue region, the maximum oxygen was produced. Oxygen production was more on this region, and that's why the aerobic bacteria were accumulating there, because they require oxygen, so naturally they will move in that region where there is sufficient amount of oxygen is there. Okay, so from here, from this experiment, this Engelmann could show that the photosynthesis is more in the red and blue light. That is, red and blue light of the spectrum are more effective in carrying out photosynthesis. This, the rate of photosynthesis or effect of different light wavelength on the rate of photosynthesis is known as action spectrum of photosynthesis. Okay, clear? Means if we draw a graph for the what is the rate of photosynthesis at a different wavelength of light, we get a graph, okay, a curve, and that graph or the curve is known as the action spectrum. This another thing is known as absorption spectrum. Absorption spectrum is this graph that shows the rate of absorption of light or the quantity of the absorption of light at different wavelength. That is rate of absorption at different wavelength. And it has been found that the absorption also is more, light absorption is more in blue and red region. And photosynthesis also more in the blue and red region. Out of these two again is red is the main. Okay, maximum photosynthesis takes place in the red region. Red wavelength is most effective one for photosynthesis. And what happened? This yellow, this green one, green light is less effective for photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is minimum or almost nil in the green region. Actually, absorption also is almost nil, and that is why from the light spectrum, that light falling on the leaf surface, okay, the light falling on the lip surface, this red light and the blue, violet, orange, yellow, those are usually absorbed more or less, okay, but they are absorbed. But the green one maximum is, it is reflected back, it is not absorbed, it is reflected back, or it is transmitted out. So that is why then that green light reflection come to our eyes and we see the leaves, they are green. This is because, and that's why it is that green is almost not utilized by the leaf uh, for photosynthesis. So green light is coming to our eyes and we see them green. So that's why the leaves are green. Okay, here you can see that the absorption spectrum, and here you can see the absorption spectrum and action spectrum. Okay, say this one is the this is the absorption spectrum of the chlorophyll A, that is what is absorbed at different wavelength. This effective wavelength, it is within the 400 to 700. Here you can see this is 700, this end 400, here it is 500, 600, and so maximum absorption is there in 400, in between 400 and 500, and here it is in between 6 and 7, but very near to that 700. This is the red region and this one is the blue. Extreme here it is violet, then it is here blue. So here is the maximum absorption. This is called the absorption spectrum. And this green line you can see, green line is for the rate of photosynthesis at different wavelength of light. So this one is showing the action spectrum. So this line is action spectrum, which is giving the rate of photosynthesis at different wavelength. And this black line, this one is the absorption spectrum, showing the absorption of light at different wavelength. This chlorophyll, this green color is coming in between, okay, 500 and 600. That's why here the absorption also is very less and the rate of photosynthesis is also very less. This is so here is Here you can some of the point from your book also you can see this that Cornelius van Niel, okay, who based on his studies on the purple and green bacteria demonstrated that the photosynthesis is essentially a light-dependent reaction in which hydrogen from a suitable oxidizable compound reduces carbon dioxide to carbohydrate. So this is with the chemical reaction, it has been shown that in presence of light, the carbon dioxide is reduced by a compound. This is a suitable that oxidizable compound. This compound will be oxidized. So it is showing H2A. H2A can be oxygen. So normally it is oxygen, or it is in case of some bacteria that sulfur and green bacteria, this is A is S, sulfur here. It can be sulfur, and then what happened that A, that substance is oxidized because hydrogen is removed from here and hydrogen go with the carbon dioxide. So here is carbohydrate is produced. Okay. And later on that in green plant, say this portion already I have told, in green plant water is the hydrogen donor, huh, is oxidized to oxygen. Say this photosynthesis is both. It is a reduction process and here it is oxidation also. In both the things it takes place. In the reduction, that carbon dioxide is reduced. In the process of photosynthesis, carbon dioxide is reduced and that water is oxidized. Water is oxidized to oxygen and carbon dioxide is reduced to carbohydrate. Okay. Say some organisms do not release oxygen during photosynthesis. That I have told those bacteria. When hydrogen sulfide instead of instead is the hydrogen donor for purple and green sulfur bacteria, the oxidation product is sulfur or sulfate depending on organism and not oxygen. Hence, he inferred that oxygen evolved by the green plant comes from water and not from carbon dioxide. This was a very, very important conclusion that this was important discovery in the relation of the photosynthesis. Okay, that oxygen come from water and not from carbon dioxide. So later on, of course, there was some other one scientist was there, that Reuben and his associate. Reuben and his associate, they use the heavy isotope of oxygen in water. Water was taken with heavy isotope, and by using this water, heavy water, where oxygen has a heavy isotope, they experimentally could show that oxygen in photosynthesis comes from water, not from oxygen, not from carbon dioxide. Okay, now here you can let us come to next, that is the organelles for photosynthesis, or site of photosynthesis. Site of photosynthesis, it is the chloroplast. Chloroplast is the organelle where photosynthesis takes place. Because chloroplast contain chlorophyll. I think you in previous classes also you have learned the structure of chloroplast. Chloroplast is more or less in the higher plant a discoid structure. Okay, this is one of the largest cell organelles in the plant cell. Okay, here in the chloroplast there is outer membrane, then inner membrane, and in the inside the chloroplast there are liquid portion and also the some membranous structures are there. The liquid part, that is known as a stroma. A stroma contain many things. Okay, this is the soluble portion. Here there are enzymes. They also contain DNA. They contain RNA, proteins, etc. are also there, and different types of enzymes. Enzymes, particularly enzymes for the photosynthesis, that is a dark reaction. Enzymes are there. Beside this, the prominent structure within the chloroplast is that which is made of membrane, like the cell membrane. And this membrane, they are actually in the form of tube, and those tubes are flat, and these flat tubes are known as thylakoid. At certain places, this thylakoid membrane, okay, thylakoids are piled. They appear as a piled structure, stacks of coin-like and this is known as the grana. Grana is the whole structure, that is this stack of membrane, thylakoid, and so grana is made of grana thylakoids. Grana is made of, it is made of grana thylakoids. The number of grana thylakoids that differ, large size, small size are also there. Okay, this in this grana thylakoids, actually, if we see, this is also in detail structure. If we see, a thylakoid will appear like this. This is the membrane. Okay, this one is, and this is like a tube. I told that it is like a flat tube, and in the center there is cavity, and this cavity is, that is, we can say it is a lumen, or that is the cavity. Okay, lumen of the thylakoids, and this is made of, this one is membrane. Okay, the photosynthetic pigment, photosynthetic pigments are located in this membrane, and in the membrane also it is located on the inner side, means towards the lumen, and they are grouped into a functional unit. Okay, so photosynthetic pigments are located in this grana thylakoids. Lumens are empty towards the inner surface, that you should remember, towards inner face, and the pigments are organized into functional unit. Functional unit means that the unit or the group which can carry out a particular function. This is for photosynthesis. So there is photochemical reaction, that group of pigment which can carry out this photochemical reaction, they are forming one unit, and this unit, they of course form pigment system, or photosystem. Okay, now some say this is one grana, this is another grana. There is all these grana are again interconnected. They may be interconnected with the thylakoids. So these thylakoids, which are not organized into grana, they are present in the stroma portion. So they are called a stroma thylakoid. Okay, a stroma thylakoid. So this is grana, and within the grana is grana thylakoids, and in between the grana, that membrane is stroma thylakoids. This, as the photosynthetic pigment, they are organized into functional unit, told, and this functional unit again is organized into that photosystem, that is photosystem. There are two types of photosystems are there. One is photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. So PS, in short, PS1 and PS2. Said in the grana, within the grana, PS1 and PS2 both are present. PS1 and PS2 both are present in grana thylakoids. Okay, a stroma thylakoid only contain PS1. So this you should remember. Okay, so all these in the grana, that light reaction of photosynthesis takes place, and in a stroma, dark reaction of photosynthesis takes place. Dark reaction, also known as Calvin cycle, or it is also called a C3 cycle. So in the stroma, in that liquid portion, dark reaction of photosynthesis takes place. In the thylakoid membrane, that is in the grana, the light reaction of photosynthesis takes place. So today, up to here, do you have any doubt, any question?
No, sir.
No. Okay. So in the next class will be for that the light reaction we will take. All right. Light reaction.